Hi, I'm Rob Wolff, English teacher, native speaker, and this is English dla Polaków, and Polish people, I want you to learn my language. Is there an elephant behind me? No. Do you remember how last lesson there was an elephant behind me? Well, now there isn't. Last lesson we were talking about the word there, and I was telling about how it's extremely important. The word there doesn't actually exist in the Polish language. It's more like an operator, which is only in the English language. Some people say it means tam, but not always. Sometimes it means tam, but generally it's an operator which doesn't exist in the Polish language. And that's very important. Oh, there is an elephant behind me, but there wasn't before. That's very strange. That's really weird. Speaking of the words very and really, that's another common mistake that Polish people make. When to say very and when to say really. Very often Polish people say to me, I very want to go, or I very like something. This is wrong, believe it or not. The word very, we can only use with adjectives or adverbs. We don't use it with verbs. So you can't say I very want or I very like. You have to say I really want or I really like. But really can be used with all kinds of parts of speech. You can use really with verbs and adjectives. What I really want to talk about today is 4 words that Polish people really make mistakes with. They really get confused. The words are laugh, smile, fun and funny. Laugh, smile, fun, funny. Smile is what you do when you're in a good mood, like I am today. Laugh is what you do when you hear or see something funny. And usually when I'm laughing, I'm having a lot of fun. Here's something that you might find funny. I remember when I came to Poland and I met my wife's, or my partner at the time, her parents for the first time, my future parents-in-law, and I walked through the door with a big smile on my face and I said, cześć. Later I found out that that's not what you say here in Poland. You should say dzień dobry or witam. I didn't realise how formal it was. And I said, I called him by his first name. I said, cześć, and I called him by his first name. And I found out later that that's another thing you don't do. You don't call people by their first names if you hadn't met them before. So these are 2 big mistakes I made at the start. I'm sure my first impression was a bit dodgy. And at my wedding, when I gave a toast, I actually said that he welcomed me, my father-in-law, that he welcomed me with open arms. Then I translated that into Polish, which means z otwartej ręki, which later on, I didn't know at the time, but later on I found out that that means like a slap in the face. So that was embarrassing. But one thing which was always really awkward for me was sitting at the dinner table and then a moment would come up when everyone started laughing. Everyone started laughing because of some kind of joke which had been told or whatever reason. And what do you do in that situation when you partly understand but not really? Do you laugh as well, or do you stay quiet? Do you look at your plate and your food? What do you do? So of course I half smiled, half laughed, and and you know, you have to put on a show. Learning Polish jokes though, that was real hard work for me. I mean, the sense of humour is completely different. English humour is more slapstick or sarcasm, but here it's a completely different kind of humour, and it was really hard for me to understand. When I told a joke, nobody understood my jokes. When I heard other people's jokes, it had to be translated and explained to me, which of course became unfunny. So that was quite hard. But telling each other jokes at a table was always a good atmosphere. There's just one more thing while I'm thinking about it, is the word atmosphere. In Polish you also say atmosfera, but you also say klimat. In English we say climate, which means something completely different really. It's more about the weather. We have a weather climate. Not klimat doesn't mean atmosphere. We talk about atmosphere, or you can say mood. The mood of the evening is great, or the atmosphere is great. But you can say that, but you can't say climate. You can't say climate. Okay, that's all for lesson 4. If you have any comments, write them in the box below. And if there is any kind of grammar or pronunciation or vocabulary problems you have, then write them in the comments. Tell me about your problems and I will try to solve them. I'll do a lesson especially for you and explaining your problem. If you want to learn more, keep watching my videos, subscribe, share. This is English dla Polaków, especially for Polish people. Keep in touch and learn my language. Vocabulary. Do you remember? It's more like. Sometimes it means. That's very important. Very strange. Really weird. That's another. This is wrong. You can't say. You have to say. Can be used with. When you're in a good mood. My future parents-in-law. Later I found out. I didn't realize. I'm sure my first impression was a bit dodgy. Awkward. Come up. Some kind of joke. Partly understand, but not really. Hard work. Sense of humor. Completely different. Nobody understood. Translated and explained. That's just one more thing while I'm thinking about it. Mood. I will try to solve them. Share. Learn my language. Robert Wolff.